Hey, thanks for watching Goosey Goggles VR, my name's Dan. Today we are reviewing A Night in the Attic, native to the Quest 2. Is this charming Arthurian legend worth your time? Let's find out. A Night in the Attic is brought to us by a fairly small but powerful development team over at Toronto's Mighty Yell Studios. At the time of writing this review, it's £7.99 in the Meta store, and I'm already going to say it's worth that investment. You control Guinevere on a quest to save the kingdom from darkness. King Arthur's son Mordred, who, engulfed in rage and greed to be a king, has imprisoned his father and taken the throne for himself. It's up to you and your guide, Sir Lancelot, to navigate the lands on a quest to Pendragon Castle to defeat Mordred and rescue the king. The story has you meet with Lancelot throughout, giving you text-based conversations to deliver story beats. More charmingly, story beats are gained through collectible scrolls that offer beautiful illustrations of the history of how Mordred came into power. The game starts where you find yourself in your grandmother's cosy attic, where you've stumbled across some old wooden toys and scrolls in a dusty box. Upon opening this box, you find a small toy to represent Lady Guinevere and a traditional marble labyrinth to complete. To control Guinevere, you have to grab the marble labyrinth with your hands and tilt and rotate it around, letting gravity drag Guinevere's marble-type bottom half around. The moment you complete this simple task, your toy is transported to a magical living labyrinth that's really quite charming with its diorama rocks and trees, rivers and castles. It's a great introduction to really, from the get-go, clearly mark out where this type of game is going. While fun to begin with, I found the physical tilting to get a little tiresome trying to navigate the more tricky, thin bridges in the world. Luckily, the game had me covered with an alternative of just simply using my thumbsticks to tilt the world. This control method feels much more relaxing and intuitive to use in my opinion, although I'm glad they added the physical tilt feature, as occasionally I like to switch to that mode of play for added immersion. So what's the challenge here? What obstacles do you have to navigate to achieve your goal of getting to the end of each level? There are 11 levels total in the game, split evenly between 3 different worlds or locations, which include a nice tranquil garden, a mysterious lost woods, and finally the Pendragon Castle that's half in ruins from Mordred's tyrannical reign. Each world gives you, the player, a new tool to use to manipulate the marble labyrinth in a unique way. There's a windmill and a crank in the first world that, when put together, generate a gust which allows Guinevere to navigate the land on a raft with a sail. Not only does each world bring a new gadget for the player to use, each of the 11 levels has a new and interesting way to use each gadget. It's great game design. Every level will have you doing something fresh, and it didn't go unnoticed. This game definitely leans on the easier side, right up until the last world, which has a difficulty I was much more happy with. I only really found myself puzzled a couple of times in the whole game. I'm not so sure this game's totally for me, as by design this is focused for a more casual gamer, or dare I say it, a slightly younger audience. My niece would love this game. With that in mind, considering the type of gamer that would really love to be taken on a real journey and be told this ye olde tale, it's a real shame none of the dialogue is voice acted. I really feel that would have really taken the charm to a next level. But enough of what could have been, let's get back to the gameplay. My favourite parts of the game, disappointingly, came far too late. When you get to the last world, evil suits of armour appear and try to bunt you off the edge of the land. I wish this was in the game from the start. If I'm truly honest, most of the puzzles prior to this could have been implemented using a traditional control type without the marble labyrinth style, like a Zelda game. Still with the fun gadgets that you yourself have to use, of course. Battling through the incoming suits of armour, however, now that's gameplay unique to this control style that we can't get anywhere else. Although I did enjoy the control style throughout, as it in itself is something you can't really get anywhere else. So I think the game gets away with it. I had debated while writing this review whether this next point is a bit too spoilery. Sorry to any developer that might be watching. I know they want this point to be a nice surprise for you at the end, but I've decided I have to mention it as it's on the main hero shot for the game, which is also really beautiful to add. It's in the graphic design for the game's title logo as well. I don't want you to be missold here. You don't actually get the sword Excalibur, or any sword for that matter, until the last level when the game is wrapping up, and I think it's all a bit too late. I don't want you to think this is a combat game in any way, as it's really not the focus of the game. Let's wrap this review of A Night in the Attic up. I'd say for the price, if you're a VR enthusiast like me, there really is no excuse not to pick this one up and give it a go due to its originality and its build quality. It's definitely worth supporting this young VR development studio. It might not be the most challenging game on the system, but its charm makes up for it and kept me playing throughout. If you have any younger family that use the system, it's an easy must-have. Get them off crap like shooting games that they shouldn't really be playing, and onto this where they can actually use their brain. Thanks for watching Goosey Goggles VR as always. My name's been Dan, have a great day. Today we're smashing our way through a review of Breachers on the Meta Quest 2. I'm pleased to say that Triangle Factory might have brought us the VR Game of the Year for 2023. Not just on Quest 2, but the medium as a whole. Let's get into it. Multiplayer games on this niche are notoriously hard to get a consistent high player base so that you can keep finding games to play in the long run. Most don't succeed and fall